The Crown fleet arrived like a moving mountain of metal and death. 200 of the Sovereign Empire's most advanced warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Each ship was massive, bristling with weapons that could destroy cities. At the center of the formation was the flagship Eternal Dominion, a ship so large it created its own gravity field. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Admiral Korthak stood before a tactical display showing the entire solar system. His 4 yellow eyes studied the single human ship that had humiliated his forces. "That is the vessel that destroyed my destroyers?" he asked his officers. "Yes, my lord, the ESV Tempest. Our intelligence reports that it was built 15 years ago but never used until now." Korthak made a sound like grinding stone. "One old human ship against the finest fleet in galactic history. This will be over quickly." But on the Tempest, Captain Oh Sun-woo and his crew had spent 18 hours preparing for this moment. The ship hummed with energy as systems that had never been tested came online for the first time. "Arya, status report," Captain Oh Sun-woo ordered. "Multidimensional systems are at full power. Quantum magnetic shields are charged to maximum. Kinetic plasma weapons are loaded with enhanced tungsten rounds. All crew members should prepare for dimensional displacement effects." Park Ji-won looked nervous as she watched her readings. "Captain, I need to tell you something about fighting in multiple dimensions. Our minds aren't designed for it. You might see things that aren't there, or miss things that are real. What about Arya? She can handle it better than we can. I've programmed her to take control of weapons and navigation if any of us become confused." Choi Min-ho adjusted his pilot controls. "How many dimensions can we split into?" "The theoretical maximum is 5, but I've only tested 3 in simulations." Captain Oh Sun-woo looked around at his crew. They were about to attempt something that no human had ever tried before. Everyone understand the plan. "We use the dimensional systems to confuse their targeting. Hit them fast from multiple angles. Make them think there are more of us than there really are." "Sir," Han Taijun called from his engineering station, "the Crown fleet is moving into attack formation." Through the bridge windows, they could see the Sovereign ships spreading out like a vast net. Energy weapons began to charge, casting red light across space. The aliens were taking no chances this time. "Arya, activate multi-dimensional combat mode. Multi-dimensional systems active. Beginning phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Reality exploded around them. Suddenly, Captain Oh Sun-woo could see the bridge from 5 different angles at once. His crew appeared to be sitting in multiple places like reflections in broken mirrors. The stars outside looked like smears of light across a twisted sky. "I can see everything," whispered Yoon So-min at her weapons station. "It's like being everywhere at once." "Stay focused," Captain Oh Sun-woo ordered, though his own voice sounded strange to his ears. "Arya, begin the attack." The Tempest split into 5 ghostly copies of itself, each one existing in a slightly different dimension, but all controlled by the same crew. To the Sovereign fleet, it looked like 5 identical human ships had appeared from nowhere. Supreme Admiral Korthak stared at his tactical display in confusion. "What kind of trick is this?" "Unknown, my lord. Our sensors show 5 ships, but they all have the same energy signature." "It doesn't matter. Destroy them all. All ships open fire." 200 Sovereign warships fired at once. The space around the Tempest copies filled with deadly red energy. But the multi-dimensional systems made the human ship nearly impossible to target. Energy beams passed through some of the copies like they were ghosts, while others absorbed the attacks and grew stronger. "Fire back," Captain Oh Sun-woo ordered. All 5 versions of the Tempest fired their kinetic plasma weapons at the same time. Tungsten rods shot out from impossible angles, striking Sovereign ships that thought they were safely out of range. The aliens had no defense against attacks coming from other dimensions. One by one, the Crown fleet's ships began to explode. The Sovereign formation, so perfect and mathematical, started to fall apart as captains tried to target enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "This is impossible," Korthak roared. "No species has technology like this." On the Tempest, the crew was learning to fight in ways that defied physics. Choi Min-ho found he could fly the ship through solid objects by shifting between dimensions. Yoon So-min discovered she could fire weapons that hit targets before she pulled the trigger. Han Tae-jun watched energy readings that showed power levels that shouldn't exist, but the strain was enormous. Park Ji-won's warnings about human minds not being designed for multidimensional thinking proved true. Captain Oh Sun-woo began to see double, then triple. Sometimes he gave orders to crew members who weren't there. Sometimes he heard voices from dimensions that didn't exist. "Arya," he called out. "Take primary control of combat systems. We're losing coherence." "Understood, Captain. I am now controlling all weapons and navigation. Human crew should focus on staying mentally stable." The battle became a dance of impossible geometry. The Tempest appeared above sovereign ships, below them, inside their formations, and sometimes in multiple places at once. The aliens' mathematical approach to warfare crumbled against human unpredictability, multiplied across 5 dimensions. "We're winning," Han Tae-jun said in amazement. "We're actually winning." But Supreme Admiral Korthak was not finished. "If we cannot target them normally, then we will destroy everything in this area of space. Charge the Eternal Dominion's core weapon." His officers looked terrified. "My lord, that weapon could destroy the entire solar system." "Then so be it. The Sovereign Empire will not be defeated by primitive humans." On the Tempest, Arya detected the massive energy buildup. "Warning, the enemy flagship is charging a planet-killing weapon. Estimated power, sufficient to create an artificial black hole." Captain Oh Sun-woo felt reality snap back into focus. The multiple dimensions collapsed back into one, and suddenly he could think clearly again. They're going to destroy the entire solar system rather than lose. Park Ji-won was looking at readings she had hoped never to see. "Captain, there's only one way to stop a weapon like that." "What?" "We have to ram them. But not in normal space. We use the dimensional engines to hit them from inside their own ship." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what she was saying. It was a suicide mission. Choi Minho spoke first. "How long do we have?" 3 minutes until they fire," Arya reported. Captain Oh Sun-woo looked around at his crew. These brave people had volunteered to die with him, and now that moment had come. "Anyone who wants to can take an escape pod." Nobody moved. Yoon So-min spoke for all of them. "Sir, we knew this might happen when we came aboard. If we're going to die, let's make it count. Arya, prepare for dimensional ramming attack. Target the Eternal Dominion's core. Captain, I must warn you that this attack will destroy both ships completely." "Understood. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them to broadcast our technical specifications to every resistance group in the galaxy. Let everyone know what human engineering can do." As the Tempest prepared for its final attack, Captain Oh Sun-woo thought about Earth, about the millions of people who would live because of what they were about to do. It was a good trade. All hands, brace for dimensional shift. Let's show them what happens when you threaten humanity. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On every world and every space station, people watched the impossible recordings. A single human ship was fighting an entire sovereign fleet and winning. The recordings showed the strange Earth vessel appearing and disappearing like a ghost, destroying alien warships with weapons that no one understood. In the capital city of the Sovereign Empire, Supreme Admiral Korthak the Unyielding sat in his golden throne room, watching the battle reports with growing rage. He was the most feared military commander in galactic history. His fleets had conquered 1,000 worlds. No enemy had ever defeated him. "Explain this to me again," he demanded of his officers. His voice was deep and cold like the space between stars. General Thane, his chief advisor, stood before him with trembling hands. "My lord, the human ship appears to be using solid projectile weapons combined with some kind of energy absorption shield. Our weapons make it stronger instead of weaker. That is impossible. No species in the galaxy uses kinetic weapons for space combat. They are primitive and ineffective." "Yes, my lord, but somehow the humans have made them work. They fire solid metal rods at nearly the speed of light. Our energy shields cannot stop them." Korthak stood from his throne. He was 3 meters tall with gray skin like stone. His forearms ended in claws that could cut through steel. "One ship, General. One pathetic human ship has destroyed 12 of our destroyers?" "Yes, my lord. War Prince Veltar is requesting permission to withdraw his remaining forces." "Withdraw?" Korthak's roar echoed through the throne room. "The mighty Sovereign Empire does not withdraw from primitive humans. Send the Crown Fleet 200 of our finest ships. I want that human vessel destroyed and Earth burned to ashes." Meanwhile, on Earth, the victory had created chaos in the Space Command Center. Commander Lee Hyun stood before a room full of generals and politicians all talking at once. Everyone wanted to know how one experimental ship had done what their entire fleet could not. "Commander Lee," said General Park Seo-jin, the head of Earth's military, We need to know exactly what kind of weapons that ship is carrying. Sir, I'm getting reports from our other research facilities. Apparently, we have more experimental projects that were canceled over the years. What kind of projects? Kinetic missile systems, gravity-based engines, quantum computer networks. All projects that were considered too risky or too different from alien technology. Defense Minister Yoon Jae-ho, a thin man with nervous eyes, shook his head. But why would our scientists develop weapons so different from what everyone else uses? Commander Lee Hyun had been thinking about the same question. Because we're human, sir. We approach problems differently than aliens do. While they tried to make energy weapons more powerful, we asked why we needed energy weapons at all. On the Tempest, Captain Oh Sun-woo and his crew were learning just how different human thinking could be. They had destroyed 15 sovereign ships without taking any real damage. The remaining alien vessels had pulled back to a safe distance, not knowing what to do. Captain, Arya announced, I am detecting massive fleet movements from the sovereign homeworlds. Approximately 200 ships are heading toward our position. Park Ji-won looked up from her engineering displays. 200? That's their crown fleet. Those are their best ships. Han Taijin was studying the quantum magnetic shield readings. Dr. Park, I'm seeing something strange. Our shields are not just absorbing energy anymore. They're learning from it. What do you mean? Every time the Sovereigns shoot at us, Arya analyzes their weapons. Now she can predict what they're going to do before they do it. Arya's voice came through the speakers. Confirmed. I have identified 17 different sovereign weapon types and developed countermeasures for each. Their tactical patterns follow mathematical models that are easy to predict. Choi Min-ho turned from his pilot controls. So we're not just defending against their attacks. We're learning how to beat them. Captain Oh Sun-woo nodded. That's the human advantage. We adapt, we learn. We change our tactics in the middle of a fight. But sir, asked Yoon So-min, what happens when they send 200 ships? We've been lucky so far, but can we really fight that many? Park Ji-won smiled, but her eyes looked sad. There are things about this ship that even I haven't told you yet. Systems I built but was too afraid to test. What kind of systems? The dimensional engines don't just let us jump through space. They can let us exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. We could appear to be in 5 different places at once. Han Tae-jun's eyes went wide. We could confuse their targeting systems completely. More than that, we could attack them from directions that don't exist in normal space. Captain Oh Sun-woo looked around at his crew. Why didn't you tell us about this before? Park Ji-won's voice became very quiet. Because if it goes wrong, we don't just die. We get scattered across multiple dimensions. There would be nothing left of us to bury. The bridge became silent. Finally, Choi Min-ho spoke.
How long do we have before the Crown Fleet arrives?
18 hours, Arya replied. Then we have 18 hours to figure out how to be in 5 places at once. Park Ji-won moved to a control panel that had been covered by a metal plate. She removed the plate to reveal systems that none of them had seen before. Strange symbols glowed on the displays. These are the multi-dimensional combat controls. I've never activated them. The computer simulation said they would work, but you were never desperate enough to try, Captain Oh Sun-woo finished. Now we are. Han Tae-jin came over to look at the new controls. How do we test something like this without killing ourselves? Very carefully, Park Ji-won replied. Arya, run a level 1 dimensional phase test. The ship began to vibrate in a way that felt wrong. It was like being inside a tuning fork. Through the windows, the stars began to look strange, as if they were being seen through water. Test complete, Arya announced. Systems are functioning within parameters. Warning. Extended use of multidimensional systems may cause temporal displacement effects. What does that mean? Asked Yoon So-min. Time might move differently for us than for the rest of the universe, Park Ji-won explained. We could fight a battle that lasts hours for us but only minutes for everyone else. Captain Oh Sun-woo thought about Earth, about the millions of humans counting on them to hold the line. If we can confuse 200 alien ships long enough for Earth to prepare better defenses, then it's worth the risk. Sir, came Admiral Hayes' voice over the communication system. We're reading some very strange energy patterns from your ship. Is everything all right? We're preparing for the next wave, Admiral. Tell Earth Command to get every experimental weapon system online. The Sovereigns are sending their best ships. Understood, Tempest. And Captain, whatever you did out here today, you've given us hope. The whole planet is watching. Captain Oh Sun-woo looked out at the stars where Earth's home sun was just a bright dot among billions. Somewhere out there, his people were looking up at the sky and hoping, in 18 hours, he and his crew would either save them all or die trying. Aria, begin full preparation of the multidimensional systems. It's time to show the galaxy what human engineering can really do. The Tempest rushed through space faster than any human ship had ever moved before. Through the bridge windows, stars looked like lines of light as they jumped between dimensions. Captain Oh Sunwoo sat in his command chair, watching the tactical display show the battle ahead. It was not going well for Earth. Aria, report on the Earth fleet, he ordered. 26 Earth vessels have been destroyed. 16 remain in combat. Sovereign losses, 0 ships destroyed, 3 ships with minor damage. The numbers hit everyone like a punch to the stomach. Human ships were dying fast and they were barely scratching the enemy. Yoon So-min gripped her weapons controls tighter. Sir, we need to get there now. We're still an hour away, Choi Min-ho reported from the pilot station. But Aria is pushing the engines harder than they were designed for. Understood. Dr. Park, are our weapons ready? Park Ji-won was at an engineering station, watching dozens of displays. Kinetic plasma cannons are loaded and charged. Quantum magnetic shields are at full power. Aria has run every combat simulation she can. And what do those simulations tell us? Aria's voice filled the bridge. The sovereign ships use standard energy-based weapons and shields. Their tactics follow predictable patterns based on mathematical calculations. However, I must warn you, we are still just one ship against hundreds. Captain Oh Sunwoo nodded. One ship can change everything if it's the right ship at the right time. Take us to maximum speed. The stars outside grew brighter as the Tempest pushed through space even faster. Behind them, Earth looked small and fragile. Ahead, the greatest space battle in human history was being lost. When they arrived at the battle zone, the sight was terrible. Broken pieces of human ships floated in space like metal graves. Explosions lit up the darkness as the few remaining Earth vessels tried desperately to fight. The sovereign ships were huge and black, shaped like sharp knives. Their red energy beams cut through human shields like they were made of paper. My God, whispered Han Taijun from his engineering station. They're destroying us. The largest sovereign ship was twice the size of anything Earth had ever built. Golden symbols covered its hull, marking it as the command vessel of War Prince Veltar. From this ship, red beams reached out to kill human sailors one by one. Aria, can you contact the Earth fleet? Yes, Captain. Opening communication channel. Earth fleet, this is Captain Oh Sunwoo of the ESV Tempest. We are moving to engage the enemy. A tired voice came back over the radio. Tempest, this is Admiral Hayes on the Wellington. Turn around and go home. These things are too strong. We can't even touch their shields, negative Admiral. We're going in. Sunwoo, I've never heard of your ship. What class is it? We're one of a kind, sir. The Sovereign fleet noticed the Tempest approaching. On the bridge of the command ship, War Prince Veltar looked at the strange human vessel with his 4 yellow eyes. What is this thing? He asked his officers. Unknown design, my prince. It appears to be another primitive human warship. Veltar made a sound like laughter. These humans never learn. Destroy it quickly, then finish the rest. 3 sovereign destroyers turned toward the Tempest, their energy weapons charged with red light. Captain Oh Sunwoo watched them approach on his tactical display. Here they come. Everyone ready? Weapons ready, called Yoon So-min. Engines ready, called Choi Min-ho. Shields ready, called Han Taijun. Aria, activate quantum magnetic defense. Quantum magnetic shields active, Captain. The sovereign ships fired. 3 massive red energy beams shot across space toward the Tempest. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. They were about to find out if 15 years of theory would work in practice. The energy beams hit the Tempest and disappeared. The blue glow around the ship grew brighter, but there was no explosion, no damage. The energy was simply gone. What happened? Asked Choi Min-ho. Han Taijun was staring at his displays in amazement. The shields worked exactly like Dr. Park said they would. The energy went into the quantum holes and came back out as, wait, look at this. On the tactical display, they could see energy building up around the Tempest's hull. The stolen energy from the sovereign weapons was being stored in the ship's systems. Aria, redirect that energy to our weapons, ordered Captain Oh Sunwoo. Energy redirected, Captain. Kinetic plasma cannons now charged to 150% normal power. Yoon So-min's eyes went wide. Sir, I've never seen weapons this powerful. Then let's see what they can do. Target the lead sovereign ship. Fire when ready. The Tempest's main guns turned toward the closest enemy destroyer. Instead of red energy beams, they fired something completely different. Solid tungsten rods the size of telephone poles shot out of the guns at nearly the speed of light. Each rod was wrapped in plasma so hot it glowed white. The Sovereign ship tried to defend itself. Its energy shields powered up to maximum strength. But the shields had been designed to stop energy weapons. They had never been tested against solid objects moving at relativistic speeds. The tungsten rods punched through the alien shields like they weren't there. They went through the ship's armor like bullets through paper. The Sovereign destroyer exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. The entire battle stopped. Human and Sovereign ships alike just stared at what had happened. One shot from the strange human vessel had destroyed a Sovereign warship that had seemed invincible moments before. War Prince Veltar stood up from his command chair. What kind of weapons was that? Unknown, my prince. Our sensors show solid projectiles, but moving faster than our shields can deflect. Impossible. No species uses kinetic weapons in space combat. On the Tempest, Captain Oh Sunwoo smiled for the first time in days. Arya, target the next Sovereign ship. Captain, came Admiral Hayes' voice over the radio. What in God's name was that? That admiral was 15 years of human engineering that nobody wanted to try. All ships, stay clear. We're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten Earth. The second Sovereign destroyer tried to run, but Choi Minho was too good a pilot. The Tempest appeared beside the alien ship as if by magic, its dimensional engines allowing it to jump through space like a ghost. Yoon Soman fired again. Another tungsten rod, another explosion, another impossible victory. War Prince Veltar watched his ships die and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. All ships concentrate fire on that human vessel. Destroy it now. Dozens of Sovereign ships turned their weapons on the Tempest. Red energy beams filled space like a deadly light show, but every beam that hit the human ship just made it stronger. The quantum magnetic shields turned the alien weapons against them. This is impossible, Veltar whispered. But on the bridge of the Tempest, Captain Oh Sunwoo and his crew were just getting started. The inside of the Tempest was dark and cold. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls as the team spread out through the ship. Everything smelled of old metal and forgotten dreams. Captain Oh Sunwoo took his place on the bridge while the others went to their stations. This place is like a tomb, whispered Choi Minho as he sat down at the pilot controls. The chair was covered in dust and the screens were all black. Park Ji-won moved through the ship like she knew every corner. Her hands touched panels and switches with the care of a mother touching her sleeping child. She's not dead, she said softly. Just sleeping. Arya, wake up, nothing happened. The ship stayed dark and quiet. Arya is the ship's AI, Park Ji-won explained to the team over the communication system. She's not like normal ship computers. She learns and grows like a human mind. But she's been asleep for 15 years. Han Taijun was in the engine room looking at machines he had never seen before. These engines are incredible, he said, but I don't understand how they work. They use quantum tunneling to move between dimensions, Park Ji-won replied. Instead of pushing through space, we step around it. Captain Oh Sunwoo was getting worried. How long before we have power? I'm trying to restart the main systems now, Park Ji-won said. She was typing commands into a computer, but nothing was working. Something's wrong. She should have responded by now. Yoon So-min was at the weapons control station studying the gun controls. These weapon systems are completely different from anything I've seen. How do you aim kinetic plasma rounds? You don't aim them like energy weapons, Park Ji-won called out. You predict where the target will be and fire solid rounds at near light speed. The plasma just helps them go through armor. Suddenly, lights began to flicker throughout the ship. A soft female voice spoke from hidden speakers. Systems, activating, running. Diagnostic checks. Hello, Dr. Park. It has been 14 years, 7 months, 12 days since last activation. Park Ji-won smiled for the first time since they had arrived. Hello, Arya. We need you to wake up completely. We have work to do. Scanning current crew. Unknown personnel detected. Are these individuals authorized? Yes, Arya, they are our new crew. Earth is in danger. The ship's lights grew brighter. Screens came alive across the bridge. Captain Oh Sunwoo watched in amazement as information flowed across his displays. This AI is remarkable. She's running checks on every system at once. Warning, Arya announced. Multiple critical systems are offline. Quantum magnetic shield generators need recalibration. Dimensional engines require 47 hours of preparation. Kinetic plasma weapon systems are not loaded. We don't have 47 hours, Captain O Sunwoo said. Can you do it faster? Negative, Captain. Safety protocols require override safety protocols, Park Ji-won interrupted. Authorization Park Ji-won Alpha 77. Dr. Park, this is dangerous. If the quantum systems fail, if we don't try, Earth dies. Override the protocols. There was a pause. Then Arya spoke again, her voice somehow sadder. Protocols overridden. Beginning emergency startup sequence. Estimated time to combat readiness. 18 hours. Han Taejin's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. Dr. Park, these engines are amazing, but I don't understand the quantum magnetic shield system. Park Ji-won left the bridge and went to the engine room. The others followed her. The engine room was huge, filled with machines that hummed with strange energy. In the center was a sphere of blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. This is the quantum core, Park Ji-won explained. It creates small holes in space-time around the ship. When energy weapons hit us, instead of hitting solid shields, they hit these holes. What happens to the energy? Asked Yoon So-min. It gets bent around us and shot back at whoever fired it. Alien shields stop energy from hitting them. Our shields steal the energy and use it as a weapon. Captain O Sunwoo was beginning to understand. So their own weapons make us stronger? Exactly. But it only works against energy weapons. Solid projectiles can still hurt us. Choi Minho looked confused. But don't all advanced species use energy weapons? Park Ji-won grinned. That's what they think. That's why they'll never see us coming. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. Arya's voice filled every room. Warning. Long-range sensors detect massive fleet movement. Sovereign Empire forces have entered the outer solar system. Time to Sol system, 22 hours. Everyone became very quiet. 22 hours was not enough time. Captain O Sunwoo looked at his team. These people had volunteered to die with him on an untested ship. They deserved to know the truth. Arya, what are our chances of success against the Sovereign fleet? Insufficient data to calculate probability. The Tempest has never been tested in combat. Enemy capabilities are estimated from intelligence reports. However, theoretical combat simulations suggest, just give me a number, Arya. Another pause. Less than 12%, Captain. The engine room was silent except for the humming of machines. Finally, Han Taejin spoke. 12% is better than 0%. And 0 is what Earth has without us, Yoon So-min nodded. I've seen what sovereign weapons do to human ships. Our normal shields last about 10 seconds. At least we'll last longer than that. Maybe much longer, Park Ji-won said quietly. There are things about this ship that even Arya doesn't know yet. Things I built but never tested. Captain O Sunwoo looked around at his crew. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle back to Earth. No one will think less of you. Nobody moved. Choi Minho spoke for all of them. Sir, someone has to make that first attack. Someone has to show the sovereigns that humans don't give up. It might as well be us. Arya's voice came through the speakers again. Captain, I am receiving reports from Earth's defense fleet. They are moving to engage the sovereign advanced ships at the edge of the solar system. How many ships do we have? 42 Earth vessels are moving to intercept 300 sovereign warships. Captain O Sunwoo closed his eyes. Somewhere out there, thousands of human sailors were flying to their deaths to buy Earth a few more hours. Those hours had to count for something. Arya, how long until we can move? 16 hours, 37 minutes, Captain. Make it faster. Our people are dying out there. The ship seemed to vibrate with new energy as Arya pushed every system beyond its limits. In 16 hours, the forgotten prototype would either save humanity or die trying. There was no other choice. The alarm bells rang across Earth's Space Command Center. Red lights flashed on every screen as officers ran between stations. Commander Lee Hyun stood in the center of it all, watching the massive display showing space around Earth. Hundreds of alien ships were moving toward their solar system, like a dark cloud of death. Sir, the Sovereign Empire's message is coming through again, said Lieutenant Park Minji from her station. Put it on the main screen, Lee Hyun ordered. The ugly face of a sovereign war leader appeared on the display. Its skin was gray and covered in scales. 4 yellow eyes glared at them with hatred. Humans of Earth! The alien spoke with a voice like breaking glass. You have 7 of your days to leave all colonies outside your home world. If you do not obey, we will destroy every human in space. This is our final warning. The screen went black. The command center was silent except for the beeping of computers. Everyone looked at Commander Lee Hyun. He was 50 years old with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been fighting aliens for 20 years, but never anything like this. How many ships do they have? Lee Hyun asked. Over 300, sir, answered Major Kim Dae-hyun. Our entire fleet has only 42 ships. We cannot win a direct fight. Lee Hyun walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, millions of humans lived on colony worlds. They were counting on Earth to protect them. But how could they fight an enemy 10 times their size? Then he remembered something from long ago. What about Project Tsunami? He asked suddenly. The room became quiet. Major Kim Dae-hyun shook his head. Sir, that project was cancelled 15 years ago. The ship was never finished. But it was built, wasn't it? Yes, sir, but it was stored at the Titan shipyard. Nobody has touched it for years. The design was too strange, too risky. Lee Hyun turned to face his officers. Strange and risky might be exactly what we need right now. Get me everything we have on Project Tsunami. And find Park Ji-won, the engineer who designed it. Sir, she retired years ago. She was very angry when the military canceled her project. Find her anyway. We need that ship. 2 hours later, Lee Hyun was on a transport ship heading to Titan. With him were some of Earth's best military people. There was Captain Oh Sun-woo, a tough fighter who had never lost a space battle. Choi Min-ho was the best pilot in the fleet, able to fly anything with engines. Yoon Soo-min knew more about weapons than anyone alive. Han Taijin was a genius with ship engines and computers. Sir, are you sure about this? Asked Captain Oh Sun-woo. That ship has been sitting dead for 15 years. Even if we can make it work, it's just one ship against hundreds. Sometimes one ship is enough, Lee Hyun replied. Especially if it's the right ship. The journey to Titan took 6 hours. When they arrived at the shipyard, they found Park Ji-won waiting for them. She was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She wore old work clothes covered in oil stains. Commander Lee Hyun, she said without smiling. I heard you want to wake up my old monster. We need every ship we can get, Dr. Park. The Sovereigns are coming with everything they have. Park Ji-won laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Now you need my ship? 15 years ago you called it useless. You said my ideas were crazy. You threw away 10 years of my life's work. I wasn't in command then, and we were wrong. Will you help us or not? The old engineer looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. Come on, let me show you what they were too scared to use. They followed her through the empty shipyard to a huge building. Inside, covered by a thick plastic sheet, was the largest ship any of them had ever seen. It was not like other Earth ships that were long and thin. This one was wide and thick like a metal whale. Strange curves covered its surface. Blue lights glowed under the plastic. The ESV Tempest, Park Ji-won said. The most advanced warship ever built by humans, and the most hated by the military leaders. Captain Oh Sun-woo walked around the ship studying it. It doesn't look like our other ships. Because it's not, Park Ji-won replied. Other ships copy alien technology. This one uses purely human ideas. Ideas that other species never thought of. Han Taijun, the engineer, was excited. What kind of ideas? While aliens make bigger energy weapons, we made better kinetic weapons. While they make stronger energy shields, we made quantum magnetic shields. While their computers think in straight lines, ours think like humans. Wild and unpredictable. Pilot Choi Min-ho pointed at the strange engines. How does it move? It doesn't just move through space. It jumps between dimensions. The ship can appear and disappear like a ghost. Weapons expert Yoon Soo-min examined the gun turrets. These weapons look different too. Kinetic plasma hybrids. We shoot solid metal at almost the speed of light, wrapped in superheated plasma. No alien shield has ever been tested against weapons like these. Commander Lee Hyun felt hope growing in his chest. How long to get it working? Park Ji-won thought for a moment. The ship's AI has been sleeping for 15 years. Most systems need to be restarted. With this team, maybe 2 days. We don't have 2 days. The Sovereign Fleet will be here in 36 hours. Then we better get to work, Park Ji-won said. She pulled the plastic sheet off the ship. The Tempest seemed to glow in the shipyard lights. But I warn you, this ship is not like anything you've ever flown. It thinks like a human, fights like a human. It's unpredictable and dangerous. Good, said Captain Oh Sun-woo. So are we. As they climbed aboard the Tempest, none of them knew they were about to change the course of galactic history. The ship that had been called a failure was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one nobody expects.